Okay. I'm gonna refresh this really quick because I don't know if it's frozen or if it's just not showing me the live feed. Hold on. Couple seconds. Okay, hopefully I didn't just break the entire stream. Are we good? Everybody hear me? Okay, well there was a couple that already chatted, so... But that was before I refreshed it, so... Hopefully everything is fine. I'm not sure if YouTube is just bugging right now or what. Oh, there it goes. Okay, yeah. I see the live feed now. Alright. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Yes. Hello, Patrick. And hello. Awesome. Glad to have you here. That's so cool. You really have a lot of people from all over the place. Alright, so the first bit of this I would like to do is kind of do an overview of a lot of the actual code that I have set up in here. So for those of you who don't know, in Unreal Engine you can do two different versions of code. You can obviously still do the traditional C++ line of code, but Unreal also has its own unique version of coding, and that is visual scripting under a program called Blueprint, or a system called Blueprint. And I'm going to be fully honest, when it comes to regular code, you know, C++, Python, all that stuff, I'm very bad at it. I'm really bad at it. I struggle to read it, I struggle to write it, I don't know the language very well. So it's pretty difficult for me to understand. However, the system that is in here with the visual scripting of strings and nodes put together, I mean, it's basically still using C++, it's just hidden underneath nodes. It's all put in nodes that you can hook with string systems, and it's over time as I've used that, it's a little bit easier for me to understand. So yeah, I'll kind of showcase some of that because some people are interested in learning at least a little bit of that. I probably won't do or set up any new code today. I'm just going to kind of go over what's already set up in some simple things and maybe answer some questions here and there. I'll try to answer them the best I can as well. Okay, I'm definitely not an expert in Blueprint either, so I'll try my best to answer questions and just go slow, not go crazy advanced yet. But yeah, we'll start off with that. I don't know if I'm going to do that for the whole first bit of the stream. The stream's going to be kind of split up into two today because I have to do something at 2:30. So I'm going to cut the stream off at like 2 maybe, and then when I'm done doing that, I'll come back later this evening and then we'll do something else for that. But if we're kind of done with the Blueprint thing here in this first part, then we can kind of work on more environments. Don't worry, yeah, and keep doing the what? Yes. So we will keep working on the monastery level at some points today. It'll either be towards the end of the first part of this stream, or it'll be when I start the second stream later today. Which, I mean, for a lot of you guys, that might be nighttime. So hopefully. Hopefully you guys are still awake at that point, because when it's evening for me, it's probably really late at night for you guys. So, except my boy Patrick, he's here in the United States with me. So, but for a lot of you other guys across the globe, yeah, it's probably really late at night. We believe in you, do your best. For sure, I appreciate it. Yeah. That's, hold on. 20 is 10? No. 8 p.m.? So that would be 6:47 p.m., right? Yeah, that's 6:47 p.m. Okay, so yeah, it's evening for you guys right now. All right, let's go. So like I said, I'm just gonna start. What you saw in the thumbnail just then, that is actually a real blueprint that I have in here, but that's like really, really complicated. I'm not gonna start with that. We'll cover some stuff that is a lot more simple than that. So I'm in the pickups section right here. So this is where I have items that you can pick up. So ammo, treasure, all that stuff. So I'll go ahead and cover some of the treasure. Let's do one of these coins right here. Okay. So, not a very big string. So I'll kind of talk about different things that are in here the best that I can. And then, once we're done with this, we can move on to other things that might be a little bit more complex. But we'll start with the basics. Okay, so here we are in a blueprint. This is what it looks like when you first open up that window. So you'll have all of your components over here on the left. This is everything that you have in your blueprint scene. So right here we have the coin itself. This is just a static mesh that's in here. The box that I have around here is a collision mesh. So this is what interacts with all of the actual other static meshes in the environment, and this is what also interacts with your character blueprint, and I'll explain that in a second. Or actually, I'm sorry, this sphere is what your character interacts with. I think the box is just for the coin collisions, because the coin itself doesn't have collisions. So, okay, so that's just the environmental collisions. This sphere right here is what your character interacts with. And so, yeah, this box and sphere, they are just collision only. That's all they're meant for. I have a little light in here to emit light, since the coin is kind of glowing a little bit, and it's got some sparkles on there, because it's a shiny coin. It's worth a lot of value. And then projectile movement, this kind of drives the physics of the coin. So, you know, when you destroy an object and the coins go flying out, that's kind of the thing that controls the movement of the coin. So whatever gravity is set, the speed in which it shoots out from the object when you destroy it, and then certain other properties like when it hits the ground, like how much it bounces, certain friction levels. It's basically just all of the physics of the actual coin. So that's what this is right here. Other than that, that's pretty much everything that is in this one. Like I said, a lot more simple because it's just one item. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and move on to components and variables. So pretty much in every single blueprint that you are going to deal with, you are going to see, you're going to actually mess with variables, whether you create your own or if there's variables already there. But yeah, you're going to see these, and components, again, these are just the components that are in your scene right here, listed in the same spot. So variables, there are all kinds of different ones. So we have a Boolean variable, which is a true or false kind of value. It's just one or the other, a binary, if you will. So it's 0 and 1 kind of based. Oh, wait, shoot. I just realized you can't see that little window pop up. Hold on. Let me see if I can figure out a way to show this here. For the sake of it, I'll just make new ones. Or actually, instead of doing a bunch of new ones, I'll just change the one that's here. Okay. So, we'll start off with the Boolean variable. So again, yeah, it's binary based, so 1, 0, true, false, things like that. If, then, same thing. They're usually portrayed as red. These ones are, again, simple versus like other variables that have a little bit more functionality to them. See if I change this on the fly. Oh, okay, never mind. I shouldn't do that because it has to go through a bunch of things to do that. So when I try and change it on the fly, it scans like all of my blueprints at once to make sure nothing breaks. But so I'll just delete it and then change it later. Okay, so now I've just changed it to a byte. Again, very basic function. I honestly don't really use this too much because again, it's a super simple function. Usually I'll end up using a Boolean or stuff like floats and integer variables a lot more often than this one. But I'll use this for like names of certain things or just to store like one bit of information on something. So like a certain class of like a weapon or ammo or whatever the case is. But other than that, this really isn't used too much in my case. And let's go. Okay, here we go. Integer. Get. Okay. So yeah, integer. Use this all the time. So this deals with any number value for anything that you could have. So for example, let's say just ammo, right? This would be a certain number that I would set an ammo counter for. So like if I'm starting a level and say the shotgun starts with 40 shotgun shells, right? So I would have this set to 40 and then we would go from there. But yeah, this could be used for many things. And let's change this to a float. So a float is basically the same thing as an integer, just a little bit more precise. So it's a decimal instead of just a full, like a whole number. So you can have like anywhere from 1 to 0, or you can have just a very specific number like, 15.2. I don't know, just so whatever the case is, right? Usually you'll use this for like percentages or maybe like health. Even though like you're on your HUD, the number that's showcased that represents your health is a whole number on the screen. Usually it's better to do a float for more precise values. For like a boss as well. Again, it's portrayed usually as like a health bar, so you don't know the exact number value of how much health they have left. But that you can use these as like a percentage to drive that health bar and how full it is. And usually I'll use this, I only use integers for something I know is going to be a whole number, right? But yeah, this can be used for health or other random like percentages, or like if there's a % chance for something to happen, you could use this for that too. Interesting. I said it's hard to visualize a lot of this stuff. I'm gonna try and again not just fly through this. I'll try and take my time with it, and then again, if there's any questions, I'll do my best, my absolute best to answer it, and hopefully not leave you with more questions than answers. When do we get to the train? Easy, man. You're pushing it, all right? It's a separate project. Where was that? Okay. A name. So this variable right here. This name right is used for specific like text boxes. So if you have like a certain, again, this can be used for names of particular events or classes. And when I say classes, I mean names of like weapons or certain enemy types, things like that. So this is usually used for text boxes or text strings. Which is train guaranteed Grammy. Hell yeah! When I'll be nominated for the Golden Globes right there. Hell yeah. But yeah, usually that's what that is used for. Is to define certain names or just anything that actually is text. So not numbers, but text. Although I'm pretty sure this can be driven by integers, but I don't fully know. What do we got? String. Okay. String is kind of the same thing as text, but it's like I think it just means like it's a string of text that pops up somewhere. I think they're pretty much the same thing. Maybe the name one is used again for more like defining of classes, but yeah, this could be used for certain text strings that pop up when an event happens or something like that. So this is actually used a lot for testing. So like whenever I am running a test on that and I'm trying to see if an event actually triggers when I set it up, I can use this to actually pop up a string of text in the corner when that event is triggered, and if it does that, I know I set up the code right. So this is actually used a lot in development too, for testing purposes. Let's do. There is actually just a text one too. Okay, so there's a name, string, and text. I'm pretty sure all three of those are utilized in the same sort of thing. So I'll go ahead and skip that one. Vector. Okay. Vector you actually see a lot too, because this one is used a lot with math situations or like positioning in 3D space. Vector is 3 based, so XYZ, RGB, stuff like that. Actually, to visualize that a little bit better, let's just do like an add. There we go. So yeah, you'll have 3 values that you can mess with. So that, again, this could be like a position, location, or anything like that. Oh, actually, yeah, location, rotation, and scale. So if I actually switch back here, normally when you see me messing with like an object in the scene, you'll see XYZ axes pop up. Or yeah, like this little gizmo right here. Same exact thing. You could use this for location, rotation, and scale. Same thing. My friend just watching stream on TV. Appreciate you guys, man. You guys are awesome. But yeah, so you'll use this a lot for certain math kind of things, or if you're defining a certain space within the 3D world. Let's see. Rotator. Oh wait, hold on. Let me delete this first before I change it. Okay. Same thing. If I do like an add here. Oh, actually, it doesn't work like that. But same kind of thing. So vectors typically are just a certain point or position, whereas rotator, this can drive a certain rotation specifically of either an object or a decal. If you're spawning a decal onto a surface, you want to know like the certain orientation of it, so that way it actually aligns with the mesh and it's not rotated the wrong way. You'll use those for stuff like that. And lastly is transform. Not trains, transform. We'll get there, I promise, alright? But yeah, transform is basically just a form of all, like, vector and rotator. It's basically just that condensed into one node. So that deals with all of it. Yeah, rotation, scale, location, all of that. So you can actually split this. Actually, I don't know if I can split this specifically, but when you go out and you, let's just do transform. So yeah, transform direction, location, and rotation, or you can do all three at once, I'm pretty sure. No, that doesn't work. Transform. Oh, I'll just do this as an example. But yeah, so you have location right here specifically because that's what I looked up. But you can do either 3 of these split, or you can do all these together in one thing. All just depends on what you are trying to do for a specific transform. Okay, that's all of the base variables that you can utilize within this system. So you can either create a bunch of new variables, like I said, or if there's already a preset that has some here, then you could just work with those. But in a lot of cases, you might end up with a lot of these just all piled up right here. So at least they're color coded, so you can organize them however you want. But yeah, you will end up with a lot of these because these are what will drive your whole string of blueprint, and it'll tell it what to reference and basically just what to do with what is in your scene. So, alright, let me get rid of this variable because we don't need it. And notice every time I go up here and hit compile and then save, so every time you do a change in a blueprint, in any blueprint, whether it's literally just disconnecting a string or moving something, that will change to a yellow question mark because there was a change. So every time you do that, you have to compile the blueprint, and then I always just, again, save it immediately after, because it's a good practice. You always save, okay? Always save. But yeah, you have to compile the blueprint every time you change something. So now that we have covered blueprints, variables, the main ones, you might also notice that there's 2 extra ones right here. So there are, like I said, there are other specific variables that are more so just, they act as references more than anything, instead of actually like a base variable. So I have one here called first person character reference. So I will use this anytime there's an event in one of these strings that needs to refer back to my first person character blueprint in order for that to work properly. And I actually do have that in this string, so I'll demonstrate that once we get there. I actually have 2 of them. So one of them might be an old one. This actually might have been like the template that was in here. I created my own for the one I'm using, so this might actually be old. But anyway. Okay, let's go ahead and cover the actual string now. So typically, whenever you open up a brand new blueprint, you're going to see 3 of these red ones pop up. Not these 2 specifically, but you're going to see 3 of them. Actually, I'm going to just do that so you guys can see it. I'm going to just do it so you can see it. We'll just do a new blueprint class. We'll just go actor. Okay, new blueprint. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, these are the 3 that you'll typically see just as a default right here, okay? So event begin play is pretty much the most common one you're going to see because you'll need it in any of your regular blueprints to actually initialize a string of code. So let's go back to this one since I have this already. So since this, again, very simple on a coin, its only purpose is when I destroy an object, it appears in the 3D world, and then after a certain time, it'll either despawn or it'll despawn when I walk over it and collect it. So, again, this string right here is actually not fully complete. There is more that I will add to it at some point, but as of right now, it's a very basic function. When I destroy an object, this blueprint spawns into the world and it plays. And this delay right here, this is how long it'll last in the world before it despawns. So if I just let it sit there for 60 seconds, which is a minute, it'll then despawn. That's what this destroy actor means. Whenever you put this in here, it despawns the whole blueprint. Or whatever is in here, it'll despawn everything and it destroys the blueprint. Otherwise, if I pick it up, then it'll ignore this and it'll just destroy the actor when I pick it up. So that's when we move down to here. Now this is a specific event starter. That's what all these are called, by the way. They're all events. So I have this one set up where it is a collision-based event. And it is set specifically to this sphere that I mentioned earlier. So again, this is a collision sphere, and that's its only purpose. It doesn't collide with anything in the environment. It only is set to collide with my character. Okay. So when I walk over that sphere, when I collide into that sphere, this is where that reference is going to come into play. So I have to cast it to my character and then apply the reference so it knows, hey, my character walked into this object, now we need to do something. So after that, it knows, okay, I walked into the sphere, now I have to do a certain thing and then I disappear. So we have our first actual base variable in our scene, okay? So coin counter, I believe, is the value that I have on the heads-up display. I'm pretty sure I have that as a value there, actually. Hang on, let me go there real quick just to make sure. Just to make sure. Heads-up display. Okay, yes, so right here. This line of text, that is the coin counter. So it then finds that, and then I add 1 to it. Since this is a silver coin, it's worth 1 value, so it'll add 1 to that coin counter. And then, after it does that, then it will play that like cling sound whenever you walk into it. The get actor location, you're gonna find these a lot too. Get actor location or get actor rotation. This is only being used because it plays the sound at that location. So wherever the coin is when I picked it up, that's what this is for. Because otherwise, it would just play. If I didn't have this here, then it would just be at default 0, 0, 0, 0. Again, so another vector, right? And wherever 0, 0, 0 is in the 3D world of the level, it might be really, really far away, so you won't even hear the sound, right? So that's why we want to get the actor location and play the sound where the coin was. That way we can hear it right there. And then after that, it serves no purpose, so now it needs to despawn. Now I do have a few other things here in place that happens rather than just destroying the actor, because if you just destroy the actor, it's kind of boring. It just disappears and nothing cool happens, right? So we do a few things to make it a little bit more appealing. So the sparkles are the first to go. Well, actually, they're the first to despawn here in the string. They're actually the last effect you see before it disappears. Let me go back to the scene here. Oh, hold on, let me reset the playlist because it's already over. There we go. Okay, playlist, good. Okay, so yeah, all these little sparkles, they're gonna deactivate, so they won't immediately despawn like within an instant. They'll just they'll stop spawning, and then whenever the sparkle actually fades out, then it'll be done. Oops, this one. There we go. So yeah, it'll deactivate the sparkle effects, and then instead of again just destroying the actor, I'll destroy the components first. So I have the sphere, coin A, and box A, and that's also what these are right here. And I can just either drag this in here like that, or I can just drag it in from here too, and I can either get it or set it. I actually should explain that too. So for variables and components, when you want to get a variable, that's when you're referencing a certain variable, so it just appears like this. When you want to set a variable, that's when you're applying a certain thing to it. So you're getting the variable, you're doing something to that variable, and then you're setting that variable. So it's kind of like when you're in the settings menu in any game. You're changing a certain setting, so that's the variable of the setting, right? Then you do something to that setting, you change it, and then when you hit apply, that's setting that new setting, right? That's basically the premise of what it's doing in here. So you get the variable, you change it, you apply the variable. He said legendary mode is stream from my house. Nice. 480p blurry. Uh-oh. The quality went down. Hold on. Could just be I'm lagging a little bit too. I don't know. My bit rate might be a little low. It says it's got full 4 bars, so hopefully it'll fix itself here in a minute. Okay. Let me know if it keeps that up, and I'll try some other solutions and hope it'll fix it. But hopefully it'll just fix it by itself. Where was I? Oh yeah, okay, so, yeah. Getting a variable and setting a variable. That'll happen all the time. To me, it's good for now. Okay, cool. Like I said, I'm not really sure if it's on my end or if it's just on their end, but again, if it happens again, we'll try other solutions. Okay, so yeah, we will deactivate and destroy the components. And then when I pick up the coin as well, if you've noticed in some of my test videos where if I walk over a coin or like a health or ammo or anything like that, you'll see a little like light flash where that happened. That's what this is right here. So it's just kind of an indicator letting the player know that you pick something up, or it's an extra indicator. So you'll hear a sound and you'll also see a light. And then again, to make it a little more fancy as well, instead of again just having a quick flash where it's like instantaneously on and then instantaneously off, I kind of smooth it out a little bit so it's not so much a linear thing. It kind of like fades on and then fades off. It's still very quick, so it's just a flash, but it's a smooth interpolation of it. And that's what this timeline here is for. So there's a lot of things that you can tune if it's a certain event that happens. So example, this light turning on and then off. If you want it to be smooth, you are able to adjust that using a timeline. So if I go in here, that's what this little animation graph is for right here. So again, it's very quick. It happens in like 0.6 seconds. But yeah, instead of it just going from here to instantaneously just straight up and on to off, it's a smooth interpolation. So it fades on and then fades off. And then after that happens, there's just a little bit more of a delay just to make sure that everything is fully gone and everything has actually happened properly. So I set that to 4 seconds. You could do whatever value is necessary. Doesn't matter. Then after that, then it will despawn the entire blueprint. And there you go. You have successfully picked up a coin and it has added to your counter. And played some sounds, or played a sound. It then despawned and deactivated all the components. Made a little flash. And then it was destroyed. So that is a very basic function of a collision event. So whenever you walk over, again, coins, like treasure, ammo, health, that's kind of the base premise of how that works. Event hit. Oh, yes, okay. So this can be utilized for many, many different things. Thank you. Again, a lot of this I feel like I'm going to ramble a lot too. So I hope I'm making sense. I'm a very visual person, so it's really hard to just explain this and kind of paint a picture in your head, but hopefully I'm making sense. So an event hit, this is basically whenever something hits something, to put it lightly. But this could be used for like projectiles, so bullets, or any other projectile that like an enemy might throw at you, or whenever an object collides with something else. It could be used for all kinds of stuff. So in this case, I am using it for whenever the coin hits something in the environment. Whenever it hits something, it'll make a little clank sound. So we'll take the hit location from here. And then again, so similar to this up here, we want the sound to play wherever the coin currently is when it hits something. So we'll take the hit location, and whenever there's a collision happening, if you don't set a limit to it, then it'll definitely kind of freak out and you'll hear the sound play like almost an infinite amount of times within a short span. So it'll sound horrendous. So we definitely need to put a limit on it as to how often it happens. So we have this fancy little node right here called do. I think there's 2 or 3 different kinds of these nodes. There's just a do once node, so it'll only do it one time and then it stops. And then there's another one that is do n, which I would assume just stands for number. So you can set it to do a certain amount of times, so like 10 or whatever, for example, and it'll do that certain thing 10 times, and then it'll stop after that. However, if I do that 10 times, it's going to play the sound instantaneously 10 times, and then it'll stop. I want to make it so that it doesn't do that all at once, and there's a delay in between how many times it does it. So I set it to 1 right here. This is an integer as well. Again, the colors. Once you see a lot of the colors on all these inputs and whatnot, you'll understand what what variables they're associated with. So yeah, light green is integer. So yeah, set it to 1. It'll play that clank sound when it hits something, and then I have a delay here that's half a second, and then it loops back over here to a reset. So that way, after 0.5 seconds, it'll do another clank sound. It won't, so it's not instantaneous. It'll do it after half a second. Still blurry 480p, couldn't read. Okay. might just be on your end, because on mine I do have full signal on everything, and I've had another person say that it's good, so it is possible that it's on your end, and if that's the case, I'm not really able to do anything. But we'll see. If more people are saying that it's blurry, then something could be on my end. So I'll keep a close eye on it for now. I guess I can zoom in a little bit further too, and hopefully that helps. It might still be blurry though. But yeah, so it'll go into a reset, and it'll play that over and over every half a second. Unless the coin stops moving, and then in which it won't do this. It'll only do this every time it is moving and it hits something. It bounces off of something or whatever. And that's it. That's pretty much all there is to it for this one. Again, very simple on this one. So I guess to visually demonstrate that, let me just do a test. Because again, I am a visual person, so to explain better visually what I just mentioned in that string of code, let me load a level here really quick. Level main. I'll just load up the docs since I have breakable items up here. Let me turn off the music just for a second so that way you can hear the sounds of the coins. Okay, so yeah, we have this chest right here, which when it breaks, all the coins fly out. They spawn in, and then they fly out. And then, yeah, when they hit this metal part right here, they made clank sounds. And then when they stopped moving, it stopped doing those sounds. And then, so yeah, they're here now. So the silver ones are worth 1. The gold is worth 2. So let me full screen it so you can see the coin counter on the HUD up top a little bit better. So when I go over there, the gold one, it makes the sound. The effects are still kind of looming. That's why I have that delay of 4 seconds. So it waits for those to fully fade out, and then the actor despawns. But yep, it plays the sound, it despawns, and then the counter goes up to 2. And then same thing for the silver ones. In this one I have a higher value item in here. It's a crystal, because it was a higher value chest. So the crystals are worth 5. Same exact thing though with the coins. As soon as I walk over it, makes a sound, everything disappears, makes a little flash. It's hard to see because it's daytime, but makes a flash, and it adds value to the counter up top. So yep, there's that right there. Perfect. Okay. Makes sense? As I say, that was a lot of rambling for, again, a very simple function on a coin, but so far so good. I haven't lost anybody yet. Oh, let me turn the music back on. There we go. How did I place the coin inside the chest? Okay, so let me go over to the chest. Okay. There's a little more to it. I promise. It looks intimidating. It's not. It's actually almost just as simple as the coin itself. Okay. So for the chest, I won't cover the part where when I shoot the chest and it breaks. I can do that after the coin explanation. So after the coin is, or after the chest is broken, okay, what happens is all the coins have to spawn. So there's probably a little bit simpler of a way to do this, but all of the coins are individual blueprints of themselves. So I have them all just separate right here for now. There may be a way I can condense this, but right now, this is how it's set up. So what we want to do is, yep, spaghetti code. Yep, this is it right here. All right, let me zoom in so hopefully it's easier to read on lower quality. All right, so since there is, in this case, 13 different coins that spawn, I have 13 different sequences that happen after the chest is broken. So again, I'll ignore this part for right now. I can explain that after the coins. Yeah, so when the chest is broken, it spawns 13 coins, all right here. I play a sound of the chest breaking, and then there's an effect that happens when the chest breaks. But here we go, here's the coins. So again, in the basic chest, there's two different types of coins. There's a silver and a gold one. So I think that's why I also have these all separate as well, because it's kind of a randomizer in how many like silver coins are spawned or how many gold coins are spawned. But yeah, so to spawn the actual coin in, we have to call the actual blueprint itself to spawn in. So whenever you're calling to another blueprint actor, that's what this does right here. Spawn actor, and then whatever the blueprint is. So, for example, coin A or coin B. I think coin A is the silver one. Yeah. Coin A is the silver one. Coin B is the gold one. And then for the actual location, the location is actually going to be based on wherever the chest is. So we already have that as the default 000. It'll be wherever the chest is. But since I don't want every single one of these coins to spawn on top of each, like right in the same spot on top of each other, because that might cause some weird stuff to happen with the physics, I bring in a vector variable, not a variable, but a vector in here, and I add a little bit of variation in the location. So not huge variation, very small amount. I don't actually know what units these are. I don't know if it's like centimeter or if it's just the engine's own unit of measurement in terms of distance. I'm not exactly sure, but small amount because I don't want the coins to spawn outside of where the chest was. But yeah, they all have different numbers in here, so that way they all spawn slightly in different spots from each other. So again, they don't collide with each other or nothing weird happens with the physics, right? So yeah, I get the location of the chest to start off with, so now that way again all these can start at 0, and it doesn't actually go to 0, 0, 0 in the 3D space of the level, because then that would be very far away and then you wouldn't be able to get the coins. So yeah, add variation in the location just a tiny bit for all of the coins. Random rotator, so this is where that rotation kind of comes into play. I don't want the coins to also spawn in with the exact same rotation, because that's not how it would work if you were to break a chest in real life and all the coins, they would have some kind of random orientation, right? They wouldn't all be facing the same way when they're flying through the air. So that's kind of what this is for, is it just it gives them a random rotation when they spawn. And then their scale, we just keep that at 1. We don't need to change that. We don't need to make them really big or really small. Keep it at 1, and that's good. Also, sorry if you can hear extra noise in the background. That would be the other person that is doing some cleaning in the house. Okay. So yeah, variation is also key for a lot of stuff. I've mentioned this too when I'm building the environments. Like you'll see me rotate a certain mesh, and then when I duplicate it, I either inverse the scale or I rotate the mesh like the opposite way, because we don't want patterns or repetition unless we do want it for like a sticker, or we want it for a certain, like it's intentional that we want a pattern. Then we can do that. But otherwise, a lot of stuff like in nature or whatever, it's completely random. There's not really ever a pattern to it. Or even if there kind of is, it's still, there's a lot of variation in it. Variation is key for a lot of things. We want to avoid repetition as much as possible. So that could be things for environments, that could be cases like this. Just makes it a little more realistic. Is it like, or sorry, it's like when player contact with coin, the coin destroys itself. It pretty much, yeah. Yeah, it despawns, and then the actor, the blueprint actor, is then destroyed after that. Because we don't want the coin to disappear, but then the blueprint to stay there. Because if it stays there, now that can cause like a bunch of blueprints to form in the scene, and then it might lag the scene. You know, like in Painkiller, the original game, the blood decals that spawn whenever you kill an enemy or whatever, if those stayed there permanently, so there was a whole bunch of those decals everywhere, it would become too much, and then the scene, your game would start to lag. The performance would be a lot worse. So eventually we would want something like that to despawn over time, and then the actor to destroy itself, so that way the engine no longer has to calculate anything with that. So yeah, same premise for anything that you pick up, or anything like a decal that spawns in the scene and then it slowly fades away, or over time it just despawns. But yeah, that's the coins. That's how they spawn in when you destroy a chest or an object that will have coins in it. For the actual destruction of the chest, much like how the enemies have a certain amount of health, right? It's the same kind of deal for breakable objects. They all have a certain amount of HP, hit points, right? So that's where the float variables will come into play. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, the float variables, in this case, I have a variable of 40 hit points set to this particular chest right here. So very low. Usually you can destroy it in one shot with just about any weapon, really. But yeah, once 40 hit points or more have been dealt to the chest. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Again, so when the chest spawns in the world, or I guess the chest is already there. When you start the level, right? You launch the level. This event begin play will initialize the whole blueprint. Then we want to set the chest with this variable, so we get this variable and then we set this variable, so that way the blueprint knows, okay, set the health amount to this chest at 40 hit points. So that we always want that at the start, so that way it knows what to do afterwards. Because if this wasn't here, then it wouldn't assign anything to the chest, and then when I shoot it, it would do certain effects, but it wouldn't actually destroy it, or it wouldn't work properly. Actually, just to demonstrate that, let me just disconnect that. So now there's nothing initializing here, since it's disconnected. So if I shoot it... Huh. Okay, it actually still worked. I was not expecting that to happen. Okay, well... maybe it's because I have, like, a parent variable already set somewhere else. But normally, if you don't have that, if it, say this is the only thing, right, that is associated with the chest, okay. If this is disconnected and you don't have a variable set to it for a certain amount of health, then by default it'll either just set it to 0 or it won't have anything associated health-wise to it. So it just won't do anything. It won't break. But yeah, I must have like a parent variable set to it somewhere else. So it actually still worked. Can you make 200 HP? Yes, I can do that. So let's set this to 200. I actually don't remember how much damage the shotgun does, so I'll use a different weapon. But yeah, so now it's at 200. Here, let's use this for example. So it'll take... There you go. So it took a few more shots to break the chest. Let's keep it at 40 for now, just in case. I don't want to break something else. But yeah, so that's what all those variables can do. You can set it to whatever you want. If you want the chest to be really hard, so I guess, for example, this chest right here, since it's higher value, maybe it's a little stronger. Let's set this one. Box A health. Oh, you know what? Maybe that's why that happened, because these are both the same name. They might not be the same variable, but since they have the same name, it might be trying to link both of these. Okay. Maybe that's why. But yeah, I could set this to 200 or something like that for the stronger chest right here. Why didn't you want to do hands? Oh, are you talking about like player hands visible holding the weapon? I do want to do that. I just haven't done it yet. So they're still floating weapons. Projectile movement. So projectile movement is related to anything with physics. So, for example, the coin. Whenever I shoot the chest and it breaks, and you see it fly out, right? That is all driven by this right here. So the movement of it shooting out, there's a certain force for that. Initial speed is that right here. I have it set to this number. I don't know the units it uses, right? But that's the force that it has when it shoots into the air. And then the gravity of it, how much it bounces, friction when it hits a surface. So if it's like if it's something like ice, it slips, or if it's something like this, it'll bounce a couple times and it will stop, right? That's what this is. Otherwise, if this isn't here, then it'll just float. It won't move. Do you know Russian? I do not. I pretty much only speak English. So, also apologies if there's kind of a language barrier. Apologies for that too. But yeah, I pretty much only speak English. I don't know, is there a way I can't do live captions. I mean, YouTube subtitles are not always the best either, but I don't know if I can do that live. And even then, if I could, I don't know if it would automatically translate them either. I'm not sure. I'd have to experiment with that. Can we see Daniel model? So, the actual first-person character, I don't, again, like I said, I don't have the arms. I don't actually have a a model of him in there. I do have his model from Hell and Damnation, but I haven't actually put it in the character blueprint. Right now, it literally is just the floating weapons. But I can go to him. I think he's in characters. Yes, characters. So yeah, I do have the Hell and Damnation model right here, but I haven't done anything with it. It's still just a model that's in here for right now. But he is here. There he is. Oh wait. Oh yeah, you can see him. He's right there. But yeah, I haven't actually done anything in the blueprint with him yet. It's still just the floating weapons for now. I'll get to it eventually. Like I said, I do want to actually show or have like the first person arms holding the weapon, so it's not just floating. I want a signed leather jacket. New merch? I've never actually once thought about doing merch at all. Maybe sometime in the future, the far future. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, just the condensed logo on the back. I have two. I have the full Moto 7 logo and then the smaller just M7. Maybe one day, we'll see. Okay. So back to okay. So the chest when it breaks. So when damage is when anything causes damage to the chest, whether it's from your weapon or anything else that deals damage, when it hits it, we want to deal damage to the health variable that we have set, so it'll subtract from the actual box health variable. I have a clamp here for whatever reason. Oh, maybe that's why it didn't actually change from the other chest too, because I have a clamp here. Can you build a small highway in your stream? I could do that in the second part of today's stream. Like I said, I did mention earlier when I first started this stream, it's gonna be broken up into two different ones because I do have to go do something around 2 o'clock. So I'm gonna cut this one off at 2, go do that, and then when I come back, I'll start another stream where we can work on environments or something like that. Although I did say I was gonna work on Monastery a little bit, so I'm gonna do Monastery, and then if we're still going, I can maybe do whatever else after that. We'll see. But yeah, primarily we're going to cover some Blueprint and then work on Monastery. Okay, I have a clamp right here. So whenever you're trying to set a maximum or a minimum amount for something so it doesn't go over or below, you can set a clamp right here and it will never go outside of this range that you have. So maybe that's what happened. Because I'm pretty sure when I shot the chest, even when I moved this up, it still stayed at 40. So let me actually try that really quick. I'm going to set this to 200 here. And then now I'll switch this to 200. Maybe now it'll take more shots to destroy it. This is just the base chest. So it took 5 last time. 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Okay, so yeah, that was the reason why. It took way more that time. It's because I had this clamp right there. So yeah, clamps are useful for, whenever you need to set a range for something so you don't want it to go over or below. But anyway, so yeah, it subtracts whatever damage output from the weapon that I dealt to the chest, and it subtracts it from the main variable. And then this right here is where a Boolean kind of node will come into play. This is the true false. That will you'll see this pop up all the time because this is like the typical if then kind of statement you would see in traditional code everywhere, right? So what we want to happen is if the health of the chest is equal to or lower than 0, we want it to destroy it, right? So if it's true, then that's when we will initiate the destruction of the chest, and then it spawns all the coins. And if it's not, then it just stays intact like this. Effects are good. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. What do you think about telescope secret? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you said that earlier. I like that. I like that idea. So, like, yeah, when I'm up here, I actually kind of started on it already, but yeah, I plan to put like oil rigs way out there in the distance, and then, so what Ash is talking about is, since the previous level to this lighthouse, for continuity's sake, you're gonna end the lighthouse level on a boat, and then that's how you show up at this. You show up on the boat. So instead of starting up here, you'll start down there on the boat. And then that will allow this to turn into a secret on its own if you decide to come up here and explore. So his idea was if you come up here, just as like a little Easter egg on top of being a secret too, there's a telescope here, and if you look through it out there, there's a little Easter egg that you can find, and when you do that for long enough, it spawns like a power-up or something for you. And then you can turn it into a fight or whatever, right? I like that idea. I certainly do. But yeah, so instead of starting up here, let me just go down here without hurting myself. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, instead of starting up there, you start, you know, offshore right here on the boat or something like that. The waves always look the same. Yeah, so for right now, they're gonna look like this. I can definitely look at more advanced water systems, but when we start getting into like actual displacement and a bunch of wave simulations and all that, it can get pretty advanced, and I definitely want to make sure it doesn't also hit hard on performance. So for older computer systems, it may have to just stay this way. I can make the foam effect look better, obviously, but as far as the waves go, I might have to just keep it simple. We'll see. I will definitely experiment with it, I promise. But yeah, I do like that secret idea. We'll workshop that as we go. Okay. So yeah, that is how the coins are spawned when a object such as this chest is broken. And then this, like I said, this damage right here, this will show up anytime, like on an enemy or a breakable object. Whenever like a bullet or any weapon projectile hits something, that's when this pops up. Or like if an enemy, same thing with my character, Daniel. So if an enemy shoots me and a bullet hits me or anything like that, same exact thing. It deals damage to me. If anyone have NASA, yeah. I promise I will do as much optimization as I can, because even my PC is pretty good. It is solid, but there are certain things with this engine where if you don't optimize it properly, it's still, even my PC can't handle it. I definitely don't have a NASA PC. I have a good one, but not a NASA PC, I promise. Understand Boolean values. Okay. So let's say, here, let me find a good example that I already have, actually. Let's just open one of the weapons. We'll go with a painkiller. Okay, ignore a bunch of this. I'm just gonna talk about the booleans for right now. Okay. Let's see. What do we want to do here? Let me find like a simple one. Primary pressed. Okay, actually, hold on. Let me do this shotgun. That one might be a little more simple to start off with. Okay, here we go. Let's do this one. All right. So for a boolean, in this case, we're using another true-false statement, right? So whenever you fire the shotgun, there is a certain time limit before you're able to fire it again. So you can't just, like spam the hell out of it, right? There's a certain time limit. So in this case, I have 0.7 seconds before you're able to shoot it again. So when you first shoot it, I have a Boolean variable in here that should be at the beginning. Yeah, right here. So I have one called ready to fire. When you first shoot it, it disables that. So again, it's either it's binary, so it's either on or off. Okay. So when you shoot it, I want it to turn that variable off. So now I can't fire it again until the very end of the sequence. After this timer right here goes up, or is up. Once that's done, then the variable turns back on. It's ready to fire again, and then I'm able to shoot the weapon again. Now, if I'm holding the mouse button down, I have another variable that is a Boolean as well, and it's called primary pressed, meaning primary trigger. If I'm holding it down, then it'll just recycle that sequence automatically and go through that again without me clicking the mouse again. So again, just as a visual demonstration. So when I shoot it once, it takes 0.7 seconds for me to be able to shoot the shotgun again. And if I'm holding it, that's what I mean by when it'll automatically just go through that sequence again. Hello, Havcom. Yes, we are covering some confusing stuff today. Buff shotgun delay. We demand the buff. 0.6. Okay, hold on. Let me try 0.6. 0.6. This is what 0.6 looks like. A little fast for the animation sequence. I also timed a lot of these timers for the ready to fires based on their animations and sounds too, so that way it lines up better. So I don't want to go too fast because then it doesn't sync up with the sound and animation, but that's what it looks like. What's modifier look like? I haven't actually set up any of the power-ups yet, so I don't have that just yet. But for the weapon modifier, what does it do in the original game for the shotgun? Does it like tighten the spread? Increase damage, lower cooldown between. Okay, so yeah, I haven't actually set those up just yet. But once I get to that, it'll have effects like that. Let me reset the music. There we go. Music's good. Okay, I'll leave that alone for right now. But yeah, so that's pretty much the premise of a Boolean variable. It's binary, 1, 0, on, off, yes, no, if, then, true, false. That's what those are for. We need energy drink, just like seriously. Yeah. We need like a berserk power up. We were actually talking about that a little while ago with like the different kinds of souls that you can pick up. One of them would have like a certain effect like that, like a berserk rage kind of mode, where you walk faster, you can shoot faster, stuff like that. We were talking about that a little while ago. But yeah, do you want me to recoup any other types of variables? Like an integer, or a float, or a vector? Yeah, there's all kinds of them. You're gonna work for tarot cards. Yeah, tarot cards are gonna come way later. Again, I'm focusing on environments a bunch first, and then after that it'll be the enemies, and then after that it'll be a bunch of like balancing and UI, power-ups, tarot cards. All that stuff will come later because they're not as hard to implement as like environments and the monsters are. But we'll get there eventually, yes. Okay. Let me see if I have one that's a little more simple than these, that I can maybe explain something else. I guess I can cover like the UI, because the UI is a little bit, it's set up a little bit different. It does still utilize Blueprint, but it works a tad bit different. So let's just cover the HUD, for example. Okay. So the UI, in terms of Blueprint, utilizes a system that is Blueprint widgets. So all of these that you see on the screen, that would show up on the screen as like a 2D thing or whatever the case is, right? That is a widget. And so I have pretty much just all these images that are positioned on the screen here, and this is actually the parent widget to all of these other widgets that you see on the screen. So very similar to how I did some digging when trying to extract images, or not extract them, but just look. For example, I'll just use like Painkiller Reload, for example. When I go in there, I can see all these images that are very similar to this, and I figure that it's pretty much the same or similar when you're doing the code for that. You set the position of like this certain image right here, and then you have functions telling the text what to display, things like that. Very similar. Where will it say save game top right? Yeah, somewhere at the top corner. This text block that's right here, that's the FPS display that I have. But yeah, so save game or any other like command prompt will probably show up, yeah, right here on top left, like it used to. But yeah, so we have our top HUD display right here, the compass, and then ammo and then health, same positions as the original game. We have a bunch of different text displays. So this is the soul counter, this is the enemy counter, this is the coin counter, ammo counters right here, and this will be for all of the different weapons too. So when you switch weapons, it changes based on which weapon is currently equipped. And then yeah, your health and armor over here. And if you're really hurt, like if you have really low health, then this overlay pops up and pulses, letting you know, hey, find some health or try not to die. But yeah, this is the design phase of the widget that you see right here. If we go over here to graph, now we're right back to the same Blueprint setup as we had before. Are you going to release now? I plan to, yeah. I don't exactly know in what form, but when the time comes, yeah, we'll probably do some kind of demo. But yeah, the only thing that's slightly different is up here. You still have like your components down below right here and variables. Those are the same, but since you don't have like a scene that has objects in it, since this is a, it's just a heads-up display, or it's just a widget, a 2D widget, you only really need to see certain functions or anything else that controls the numbers on the widget or anything like that. So, tiny bit different, but overall functionality is pretty much the same. So, you still have like your event initializers right here. They have a little bit different terminology. So instead of event begin play, it's event construct. Same exact thing though. Whenever the level initiates, this is what starts the whole thing, right? And in this widget blueprint, same exact premise. What do we got down here? Oh, I didn't cover this one, actually, when I was talking about the, when you just make a new blueprint. So, event tick is basically an event that plays every tick or every frame unless you tell it to do it like a certain time, right? Like if you say a delay every 2 seconds or whatever, then it'll play an event every 2 seconds or something like that, right? But if you have nothing changing that, then it does it every frame. So these you want to use sparingly, because since you're firing this off every frame, every tick, that can get expensive pretty fast. So these you want to use sparingly. Don't get carried away with these. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your computer blows up if you let this go, and you use these a lot. So use it sparingly. Hot tip. But yeah, so this usually you'll use this when you're trying to either communicate with another blueprint, or it's like checking for something. So in this case, right, this is for my health, I think. Low pulse health, yeah. So this is checking to see if my health is under a certain amount, or if my health is low, then it'll initiate that overlay animation of this right here, and it'll start pulsing. And then if it's above a certain amount of health, then it goes away. But yeah, this will check it, and if it is, it'll initiate that animation within the widget. What do we got up here? Does save game exist? Okay, this one's a little more complex. This is like when it's checking for a save game, or a save file. So when you save, it'll save all the data of the numbers, so that way when you load the game, they match what it was when you first saved in that certain spot. That's pretty much what this is for right here. And again, this is also not complete. There's going to be way more of these data points right here. I only have it for the ammo and health right now, but later on, there's going to be a lot more of those here. These functions right here. So let me actually go back to a more basic one, and I can explain what a function is. So if you've noticed, as I cycle through like viewport and graph right here, there's different tabs that you can have open for when you're working in a blueprint. And all of these right here, they're just out open in open display. But if you want to create something in a more condensed form, you can do that within a blueprint, and that is called a function or a construction script. It's basically the same thing. Every new blueprint you open will have at least one of these, but you can have a blueprint with a whole bunch of different functions. It depends on what you're doing, but functions will pop up right here, just above the variables. Again, this one's just here by default, but you can have a bunch of them in here, as many as you want. And this is basically just a mini blueprint sequence within the actual main blueprint. So for example, let's go back to the HUD here. So I have a bunch of different functions all right here, and they're all in these tabs. So let's go shotgun ammo. Okay. So for the shotgun ammo that is displayed right here when the shotgun is equipped, it is referencing, again, back to my character, because that's where the shotgun blueprint is at. So I need to reference my character, then the shotgun, so it can pull the data from the shotgun blueprint itself. And then if the shotgun is visible, then it will enable the ammo counters for the shotgun. So it'll set them visible. What's those purple ones? So these is basically like an input and output. So for the main blueprint, event graph, yeah. Main blueprint, your main initializers are these event ones. These are always going to be red. But within a function, they're purple. But they kind of serve the same purpose. This is like your input and output. So all the stuff in between, you want to have that in between with whatever you want your function to be, and then when you actually put this function in your main blueprint, that's where these input and outputs will come in handy. And I'll explain that in a second. Yeah, so if basically this is just a mini sequence within the main sequence within another blueprint that I have set. So whenever the shotgun is not equipped, it shows a different number, and when the shotgun is equipped, it hides all the other ones and makes the shotgun ammo visible. So just to quickly explain that. Where's the oh, there it is. So yeah, when the shotgun is visible, this is hidden, and the one for the shotgun shows up. I need to go now. I will watch replay. Okay, for sure. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Much love. Said I'll stream again later. I'm gonna stop at 2, and then once I come back, I'll stream again, and we'll actually work on Monastery and maybe something else. So I'll be streaming quite a bit today. Okay. Oh yes. So functions. So once you have your function complete, then we can come back here, and we can then drag that function into our scene, and then we can utilize it. We can utilize it in our main blueprint. So it's basically just a condensed. It's a condensed sequence that we can utilize in here. So it's kind of just a more organized way of putting multiple functions or multiple sequences within your main string. Pretty cool. Complicated, but cool. So trust me, I had to spend a lot of time learning all this stuff. When I first started this project in like 2022, something like that, I was still pretty new to Unreal Engine in the first place. So this project was actually just a lot of the time spent, like the first 2 years of doing this project was actually just learning the engine too. as I was going. So yeah, I had to spend a lot of time looking at tutorials and forums and all kinds of stuff to learn how to do all this. It definitely took me a while, and there's still a crap ton that I have to learn about this. Like I said, I am by no means an expert in this. Coding is already my weakness. This is just an easier way for me to understand it. So, yeah. Okay. I guess while I'm here, I might as well talk about a little bit of the weapon as well. We're taking baby steps. We're going a little bit more advanced as we go. Actually, before the weapon, let's do the ammo and the health. Before the weapon, let's do ammo and health. Let's see, health and armor. Oh wait, I'm still in the UI. Where's my pickups folder? There it is. There's so many folders. Okay, we'll do health. Alright. Let's just do the green one. Okay. A little bit more here. But again, same premise as any of the other items that you can pick up. They just have a little bit of a different function for each one. Okay. So, for the green soul, as we can just view it right here. So, I did get a little carried away because I wanted it to be a little more advanced on this one. But studying how the soul looks in the original game, it's just a bunch of swirlies that happen. So I have 5 different VFX systems here, and they all they pretty much are they just do a loop in a certain direction, and since there's 5 of them, it creates that swirling effect, that sphere effect, because they all go in a ring in different directions, and they start off in 5 different positions. So, for visual demonstration, if I hit simulate, there you go. So yeah, they're all just doing a ring in a specific direction. So that's what it actually appears as when you're in game. But when you're just in the blueprint and you're developing it, it looks like that. Alright, so let's go over the components. So again, sphere collision, same exact thing as the coin, where when the player collides with this, that's what triggers the rest of the events to happen. And then here's where our separate systems are. So yeah, we have sphere 5, 1, they're a little out of order for some reason, but yeah, we have 5 of these all together. And we also there's a system in the middle here. So you can see these 5 spheres here, and then there's these sparkles that are in the middle. So there's a separate system in here for that too. Ring. There it is. Green Health Center. That's what I named the visual effects system. And then each one of these also has a light that emits from it, again, just for realistic property. There is a sound that plays when you approach it. So when you're nearby, you'll hear like a little sound effect playing, and that's what this little sphere bubble is right here. So once you are inside this bubble, that's when you'll start to hear that sound. When you're outside of this bubble, you don't hear it anymore. This box, this actually will only apply when there's a tarot card that you can earn that it'll pull souls towards you when you are close enough to it. That's what this box is going to be for. So when the player collides with this box, the soul will then be pulled towards them. It'll pull the soul towards you. But otherwise, if you don't have that tarot card, then this box is irrelevant. It doesn't do anything. The spin. So this is similar to the projectile movement, whatever that other movement one was. It's very similar to that, except this one is a rotating movement. So it's not necessarily like a translating movement, it's a rotation. So again, I have 5 of these, each one applied to different spheres, and then in here I set how fast I want it to rotate. They're all set to, I believe, varying values. So that way, again, variation. They don't all spin at the same rate. And then they're all in different axes to generate their the direction that they rotate in. So this one is in the Z, so it rotates in the Z direction, or on the Z axis. So since the Z axis is vertical, it's up and down, it probably rotates horizontally. And then this one is on the X, so the X is forward and backward, so it'll probably rotate along the other way, along that axis. And then there's some of these that have 2. When there's 2 of them in here like this, it's in the middle, it's diagonal. So this is on the X and Y, so it rotates diagonally between both of those axes, if that makes sense. And then again, some of these are in the negative, just so they rotate the other way. So that way, it generates 5 different directions when they're all rotating. So if we go front, so yeah, this one right here in the middle, that's the one that's on the X rotation. These 2 are on the Y rotation, and then the one that's horizontal right here is on the Z rotation. And then if I view from above, you can see some of them are diagonal, and that's the one that is on 2 different axes. So that's how I generate the movement of all of those spheres. Now for the actual visual effects, that would be these right here. So, ladies and gents, introducing Niagara. This is the visual effects system within Unreal Engine. They're actually, in the older versions of Unreal, it used to be Cascade. I believe you can still actually do Cascade in here as a legacy option, but in newer versions, the primary visual effects system is Niagara. So, for Niagara, again, it's a very similar layout, like grid system that you saw in the Blueprint system, but it does work a lot different than Blueprints. So I can kind of cover these more in depth in a later stream, but just as a basic premise, for your main Niagara setups, it's going to be within a whole system that has a bunch of different pieces or emitters controlling certain things within a whole system. So you have a Niagara system that has a bunch of different emitters within it that are controlling your effects. So in Blueprint, you have a bunch of nodes that you string together to trigger certain events that happen and program everything that happens. And Niagara, similar, you have emitters with a bunch of different properties that are controlling all of your visual effects. But basically, yeah, I have to generate the sphere that goes in a ring, I just have one of these, and it basically just spawns a bunch of particles within a sphere, and it just sits there. That's all it does for the actual effect. And then all the movement is actually generated in the Blueprint. You can go about it multiple different ways. You can generate movement within the system itself in one of these parameters, but after all the trial and error that I've gone through, I found it best to just leave it like that in the Niagara system, and then generate movement in the blueprint itself. That is the best way I have found to make it work so far. So, anywho, back to the blueprint. So, once this spawns in, so obviously the souls, or at least the green and red ones, the basic ones, will spawn in the world when an enemy dies, right? So, actually that I have that spawned in a little bit later, because I don't have the enemies set up, so I don't actually have that just yet. But to generate the movements, obviously with these in here, if I just put these here, it's not going to do the movement right away. I have to actually tell the blueprint to do it as well. So that's where these come into play right here for all the different rings, or the different spheres. I have to tell it, update the position, and then actually start the rotation right here when the soul spawns, or whenever the level starts, right? Whenever the actor is spawned into the scene. And then if you could, it's hard to tell right here because it's just floating in the 3D world, but the overall soul does kind of bounce up and down just a small bit too. So that's where this vertical movement timeline, again, it's another timeline, that's where this plays as well. So if we view it, all it's doing is just moving up and down, so in the Z axis, and it just goes down and then back up, and it loops. So it replays this movement the whole time. So yeah, again, for things like that, subtle little animation, like subtle movements, or when you're trying to utilize a certain parameter, like you're changing a parameter over time, that's where these timelines come into play. And then we have to, after the movement, we have to set the movement. We have to tell it to actually apply the movement at the end here. So that is where the movement comes in and initiates. Then here's where we're in familiar territory now with the collision. So same thing. We have to reference the character that ran into the soul. We have a soul counter. Again, in the UI, at the top corner, there is a soul counter. So we add 1 to that every time we collect a soul from an enemy. And then these souls also provide health. So we want to heal our character when we walk into it. So that's what this function is. And this is actually built in, this function's built in to Unreal. The Unreal has its own like damage system. I actually didn't have to build that. It was automatically there. So that was nice. So yeah, we heal the player. In this case, it's the green soul. So we just do 1 health. We play a sound when we walk into it. We deactivate the visual effects. We destroy the collision after we walk into it because we don't need to have that there anymore. We do a light flash just like the coin. And then this right here is actually a bonus function within here. Because if let's say we're low health, right? We're at, we're just on the cusp of it. We're like at 25. 25 is the low health limit. If we go from 25 to 26, we want the low health effects to go away. So that's why I have this here, is in the case that, it's being referenced in the actual the character blueprint. So yeah, if my health goes above the low health limit, it'll get rid of all of those low health effects. Otherwise, if it's not, let's say it's still under 25, or it's 25 or lower, then that will be ignored, and the effects of the low health will still be there. And then right back to delay. So when we pick it up, the effects fade out. They don't just instantaneously disappear. They fade out. And then 4 seconds later, the actor is destroyed. Then down here... oh, okay, this is that box right here. So, yeah, again, if we had that tarot card applied, right? So right now it's disconnected, so it's not going to do anything. But yeah, later on I'll add a true-false Boolean statement where if the card is applied, then it'll do it. But yeah, when I collide with that box, this is a movement or a translation function. So when I collide with that box, it has to find where my location is, so that way the soul goes to me. That's what this get world location is. And player character, it's getting my location after I collide with the box. And then after it finds where I'm at, then it'll move this actor towards me. And then once I collide with the sphere, then it'll go through this whole function, and after that's done, destroy. So I can actually demonstrate this again. So I'll leave this disconnected for now. I will place one of these souls right there. That's good. Alright. So there it is. There's the lovely green soul. So yeah, without the tarot card, I would have to walk all the way up to it. And there we go. So there was a light flash, it fades out. Now it's destroyed, and I have 101 health. But if we... see, I can see the box. Okay, so yeah, I'll spawn outside the box. Now if I connect this, so let's say I have that tarot card equipped where I can pull souls towards me. When I collide with that box, it sends the soul towards me. But we don't have the card set up yet, so we leave that disconnected. Just for now. And that is pretty much how the souls work. Let's say the red one will give you more health at 6. The orange health and the big health work a tiny bit different because they have limits. So like if you're above a certain health, you won't be able to actually collect them. They'll just stay there. So yeah, right here, here's that limit for the... oh, actually, this is the orange health. This should be 100, but for development, I just have it set to 200. So let me actually do that right now, just again to demonstrate. So let me get rid of this soul right here, and I'm gonna put one of the big healths here first, so that way I go above the limit. So there we go, now I'm at 200. So since I'm now above the limit, I can't pick this up. It just stays there until I'm lower than 100 health. So yeah, that's pretty much how those will work. Otherwise, yeah, it's the exact same. Heal. Deactivate, destroy, light flash for the timeline. Low health widget either goes away if I'm above 25 health, or if I'm still below it, then it won't. And then a delay for the effects to fade out, then it destroys. And then same thing for like the initial movement right here. Same thing. Perfect. I can pull these back. Actually, pull these back up, just so you can see what they looked like. Orange. Okay, so here's the red one. Simulated. That one looks pretty similar to the green one. Pretty similar. The orange one's got some fire in it. And a little bit more sporadic center sparks. And then the big boy has bright blue rings, a nice big red fire in the middle, and some big red sparks in the middle. Because it gives you lots of health. And then again, I can kind of demonstrate the sound that they all make when you approach them. So the green. This is kind of a tight space, so it's hard to differentiate here. Let me load another level that has a little more space. Let's do monastery. Okay. Let me just place those souls now. So the green one right there. We'll do a red one up here. We'll do an orange one right here. And then I'll do the big one right here. And actually, a lot of these sound effects, if you guys have ever played the Fear Factor mod, that's where a majority of these sound effects actually will come from. All right, let me pause the music so you guys can hear. So yeah, when I approach this, you guys can hear that? Like a little swirling effect. And when I go up to the red one, it's a little bit more of a demonic, kind of low humming sound. Because it's a more powerful soul. Like that. This one has two different sounds going on. It has a fire crackling and like a high-pitched noise. And then this one, since it's a very powerful soul, has like some of those demonic chants that you can hear. Very cool. But yeah, that's what this outer bubble is. So when I'm outside that, you won't be able to hear it. And yeah, like I said, they all have that's what all these other blue spheres are. They're the influence radius of all the little lights that you're seeing. So yeah, that light effect right there, that's the influence radius of all those lights. Okay, let me go ahead and get rid of these now. And actually the bloom is pretty high on this map. I didn't really mess with that yet, so on some levels it might be different. The bloom level might be different. It depends on just how I set up the overall post-processing effects on each level. It depends on the lighting on all of them. Alright, give me just a quick second. Okay. Now let's cover ammo. I'll just pull a random one with a shotgun. Okay. So for the ammo, this one goes through a couple of different castings to other references before it finally finishes the sequence. And the reason for that is because there's two different things that it's calling to. One of them is my character, because it's having to go to the actual shotgun blueprint itself. So it's going to my character, and then it actually goes and calls into the shotgun blueprint itself, because there's data. There's data for the actual shotgun ammo variable in both of those, and then also the UI as well. So actually, there's three things. Three things. It's going through two different casting calls, and then it's also communicating with the ammo counter in the UI widget for the shotgun as well. So there's three different references that it has to call to in order for it to fully work properly. So once, oops, sorry, freaked out for a second. Once the character walks into the sphere collision right here, it will then call to my character reference, to which then it will then find the shotgun blueprint and call or cast to the reference on that one. Then once it has found that blueprint, I'm able to then pull the variable, the shotgun ammo variable, because without these I can't pull up this variable here. So basically what these casts are is like a it's a way for this blueprint to actually look at another blueprint, and then you will have access to the variables within that other blueprint. So that's why these have to happen first. Otherwise I can't find this, or that this blueprint can't find this. But yeah, once that is found, I can pull the ammo variable right here. And before it does anything, it needs to check and make sure that the ammo count hasn't reached its maximum yet. So in the case for the shotgun, the maximum amount of ammo for the shotgun is 100 shots. So if it's at 100 shots, in this case, yeah, if it's less than? Yeah, it is less than, okay. Yeah, less than 100. If that is false, then it doesn't do anything and I can't pick it up. Very similar to how when I was walking through the orange soul, I was over 100 health, so I couldn't pick it up. Same thing here. If this function right here is false, if it's at 100, it won't do anything. But if it is less than 100, if it's true, then it will do the rest of this. So this right here, I actually didn't learn about this node until a while in. It took about maybe 2.5, 3 years into making this project before I finally learned about this function right here. So what this is an interface, messenger node, okay? So there's another set of functions here that you can have set up called interfaces. And what these do, it's basically a more advanced and robust communication system than these casting nodes right here. This only allows you to communicate with a specific blueprint reference, and it's just one. This allows you to communicate with a whole system of blueprints. Whichever blueprint has an interface like this enabled in it, they can communicate with each other via these nodes, which is pretty cool. So what this is doing here is I have an interface set up on the actual shotgun weapon blueprint right here. There it is, shotgun ammo. So what this is doing is when I pick up the ammo, this sends a message to here, and that's why I do actually need this variable here as a target, so it still knows to send it to that blueprint. But that'll be my target, and then I tell it, okay, add this much ammo to that variable, or add this much to that integer variable. So in this case, add 10 shots to that variable. And then this is where like the byte variable comes into play, or an enum, same kind of thing. This is used as a class type, so I have it classified under shotgun ammo. So yeah, I wanted to add 10 shotgun ammo to this variable. And then once that's done, then similar things with the other collisions. It plays a sound, and then it destroys the components, a light flash, a delay, and then it destroys. So this right here is mainly for just initial communication to the variable, and then this right here is communication to, I guess it is also communication to the variable too, but it's communication to the widget, the UI as well. So yeah, 3 steps of communication. Communication's important in life. It's it's important everywhere. But yeah, that's what that is right there. It's a more advanced communication system through an interface. Took me a while to learn that one. I didn't know about this until a while into development. But very handy. Let's see. And that's pretty much the same for all of the ammo cartridges. The only different one is the ammo pack, because this one will give you ammo for all of your weapons, right? So for this one, instead of giving you ammo for just one weapon, this gives you ammo for all of them. So that's why I have, was it 13 different, 13 different sequences all in this right here. So it plays the sound when you pick it up, and then it gives you ammo, a certain amount of ammo for all different weapons or different ammo types. And then let's see, what is this right here? Oh, okay. I'll cover that in a second, because that is a bunch of advanced stuff. But yeah, after it gives you ammo for all your weapons, then we come back down here to the final sequence, where again, it is referencing my character, then it destroys these components, light flash, delay, and then it goes away. Okay, so up here, this whole string that's going on right here is pretty much it's supposed to trigger an animation sequence for when a specific weapon is empty. So if you guys have played the reload mod for Painkiller, if your weapon is empty, and then you pick up some ammo for it, it will do a cool reload animation. So like, for example, if you're out of stakes and then you find some more stakes, when you switch to the weapon, it will do a reload of a stake instead of it just appearing there all of a sudden. So for example, hang on, I'm gonna go to my stake gun and lower the variable so I can demonstrate this. Let's see, stake gun. Where's my ammo variable here? Okay, stake ammo, I'm gonna set this to like 2, just to speed up demonstration. And then let me go back. And I'm gonna put some stakes right there. Okay. So when you run out of stakes, there's no more. And instead of me just picking up this ammo, and then a stake just randomly appears there, when I pick it up, it does a reload animation instead. So, that same line of code is actually also in the ammo for just the stakes by itself. There we go. Yep, same exact string of code here at the end. I basically just copied and pasted. I just duplicated that same string and put it here for the stakes. But to go through it, so for it to know that I went from no ammo to some ammo, it once again references to my character, finds actually, it determines if I even have the stake gun equipped. If I don't have it equipped, if another weapon is equipped, then it'll still actually do the animation, but it happens off screen. But if I have the stake gun equipped, then it'll do everything. The sounds, the animation, all that. It'll do all of it. Let's see. Okay, so then we reference the stake gun again, so very similar to the other one. It does multiple different calls, so that way we can get all the variables that we need. And then this, oh yeah, same thing. If it's at 100, then it doesn't do anything, but if it's under 100, then it'll collect some ammo. But down here is where it'll determine if the stake ammo is at 0, if you have no stakes. So, right here is where if it's not equipped, it does the animation but nothing else. But if it is equipped, then it does all of this. So I have this set to a specific number because 8 is how many stakes the ammo will give you, or the ammo pack will give you. So for it to work properly, it has to go from 0 to 8. And when it does that, then it knows, okay, I can do this animation. And then when it's not equal to that, then it won't do that. But yeah, if it goes from 0 to 8, basically if you pick up ammo when you had 0, if that is true, then it plays a new animation, it plays a reload animation, and then it plays a sound for that animation. And now I also have an additional true-false at the end here, because there's different versions of the stake gun that you can have. You can have the regular, or the upgraded version of the stake gun. So if you have a different upgraded stake that, say, is maybe like metal, or has just different properties than just wood, it's going to make a different sound, right? So that's where this second true false comes into play. So if I have the upgrade, if I found the upgrade to the stake gun, then it's going to make the sound of the upgraded stake. And if I don't, if I just have the regular one, then it'll make the sound of the regular stake gun. So see what I mean when I say true false is very common? There's literally 5 of them in this one string right here. These true false statements will appear all the time. They are very, very common. But yeah, that's pretty much what that is. So it just makes, again, it feel a little more natural if you don't have any ammo. Well, it's not just going to magically appear there. You got to reload the thing if you find more ammo. So that'll apply to all of the weapons. I've only set it up for the stake gun right now, but that'll appear on all of these later on. So that is how that works. So yeah, the ammo pack does it for all. Otherwise, it's just one weapon for individual ammo. Love on graphic how you put the monastery stage. Yep. It turned out really pretty. I like it too. It's definitely more reminiscent of Hell and Damnation. Like the original was a little bit more yellow and golden. This one's more orange and blue. But yeah, turned out pretty good. All right, perfect. So yeah, that's pretty much the ammo. Okay. How are you guys feeling? Would you like me to cover a little bit more of an advanced one? Like a weapon? Because if not, we can kind of take a break from it and I can just move on to the monastery and work on that for a little bit. For about an hour. Ooh, my stream's actually delayed a little further than I thought it was. A little bit further of a delay. That's okay. No biggie. I tried to say big deal and biggie at the same time. Yeah. Here, we'll do this. I'll cover the shotgun blueprint, and then we'll move on to the monastery for a little bit. And then, like I said, I gotta cut this one off at 2 because I gotta go do something. And then once I come back, we can just keep. We'll start up a second stream, and then we can just keep working on monastery or another level. Sound good? All right. Okay, so here we are in the actual shotgun weapon blueprint. This is all the controls for the big bad shotgun right here. So, let's start with the actual initializers right here. Alright, I actually haven't looked at this in a long time, so I need to recap myself, actually. Get transform. Oh, I see, okay. So this right here is actually what is driving the idle movement. So when the character's not moving. So see how the weapon is slightly moving a little bit when I'm just sitting still. That's what that is, right? That's what all this is right here. So typically what you would do, at least in the original game, obviously this could just be an animation, right? Much like how the weapon firing and walking and all that stuff, that could just be an animation. But with the way that I have this whole system set up, it's easier to blend between the idle movements and then the actual walking movement this way rather than doing it through blending animations together. You can do either or, it doesn't matter. You can blend animations together or you can do it this way. So instead of it being an animation, I'm actually driving movement through Blueprint right here. So I have different different like bobbing movements in different axes. So we have Z, Y, we have X, Y, or actually some of them I don't have in a certain axes just because I'm trying to lose my voice. I'm trying to get different movements within different axes and different movements for different weapons. So sometimes I'm only moving it in Y and Z, sometimes I'm only moving it in X and Z, whatever the case is, right? But yeah, so this is driving that idle movement right here. So this, the event begin play, is setting the initial movement drivers, and these are all floats. The light green, the very like lime green, these are all floats. So this be a precise integer. It's like it's a decimal. Or I guess an integer would just be a whole number, so I guess it's not technically an integer, but you get what I mean. It's a precise number. So yeah, this tells it where the starting position is, and then this on the event tick. So this is every frame. That's why the movement is smooth, because it's doing this every frame. Again, use this sparingly. I'm only using it for that animation and or that movement, and then that's it, not anything else. But yeah, every frame it will drive movement based on these variables right here: the speed of the movement, the distance of the movement, and where it's starting from, and that's where that's being driven right there. It's telling it where to start, and then these are telling it how fast and how far to move. So not very far. Or not very big movements. It's very, very subtle movements. But that's all that is for the initializers for when we spawn in. Now for the actual functions of the weapon. So we got our primary fire. By the way, you've probably seen this too, where everything is actually organized in a nice box like this. Whenever you have a bunch of code like this in here, this is like essential, okay? Because if you don't have these, you have no idea which line or which string of code is programming what, right? Is doing what. So when you have these in here, it's much, 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 much easier to tell what's going on. So this, all of this right here is for the primary fire, then all of this down here is for the secondary fire. And then these ones are extra stuff. I'll explain those after these two. So, for the primary fire, I have a multi-sequence here. I have two different things that happen. Just to make sure. Oh, okay, that's why. So, sequence number 1 has a vast majority of the stuff. Sequence 2 doesn't have as much. So sequence 1, first of all, it checks to see if we have any ammo. Because if we don't have any ammo, then obviously it can't do most of the rest of the things because we have no ammo. So if we have 0 ammo, it does nothing up here, and it comes down here, and it just makes a click sound. I know, it's very sad. it's very sad when we're out of ammo. But if we do have ammo, then the ready to fire function or variable turns off because we just fired it. It plays the fire animation, so it has recoil, it shoots back. That's the animation part. Then it plays some camera shake, because it's a very powerful weapon, so a little bit of camera shake happens. More visual recoil, I would say. I actually have 2 different camera shakes here, so one of them must be like a very prominent shake, and then the other one might be a little bit more of a higher frequency shake. I have 2 different ones here. But yeah, both of those play, so the camera shakes a little bit. Okay, and then this again right here, these 3, since, again, there can be a regular version of the weapon or an upgraded version of the weapon. That's what these are here for. So I'll just cover the first one, since we're just going to cover the regular version of the weapon, not the upgraded just yet. So we have shotgun ammo type 1, which is buckshot, just the regular shotgun. It has that one. It spawns a muzzle flash at the end. This is a visual effect from Niagara. Spawns that in. Spawns in a sound, the shotgun sound when you fire. And then it looks at the shotgun ammo variable, and it subtracts 1 shot, because that's how much it takes for a shotgun shot in this case. Subtracts 1 from the ammo, then it sets it, or applies it. And then to get the actual shotgun spread, since there is multiple shots in a shotgun shell, in a buckshot, I have to tell it, okay, don't spawn just one of these projectiles, spawn a bunch of them. Spawn like, how many do I have? I actually don't remember shotgun pellet amount. 16, okay. So yeah, spawn 16 different projectiles of this blueprint. And then that's actually what this loop is here for. So instead of, if you remember when I was in the chest and I had 13 different spawn actor blueprints there, instead of doing that, I can just put a loop here where it loops this function right here 16 times. That's what that is here for, right here. So I might actually do that for the chest too. That way it condenses this way more, and there's not 13 different spawn actors there. But yeah, it'll loop this function 16 different times, and then when it's completed, then it moves on. All of this right here, since there's 16 different ones, they obviously are not just in a single line that goes straight out. They spread out. So I have to tell each one of these that spawn in to go at an outward angle just a little bit, so that way it actually acts like a true shotgun spread. So in order to do that, first of all, when it spawns in these, I have to get the location that I want the projectiles to spawn. And so the location that I want is obviously at the front of the barrel of the shotgun, because that's where the shot comes out. And in order for that to be accurate, I actually have a socket that I made on the actual skeletal mesh of the shotgun. So if I bring that up, skeletal, regular, okay. So here we go. This is just the mesh of the shotgun, the skeletal mesh. Within here, I've created sockets. That's what they're called. So for the location that I want these projectiles to spawn, this is where these sockets are. So I have shotgun muzzle, and then I have the freezer muzzle. I'm not sure why this is all the way down here. It should be up here, but regardless, I have that right there at the front of the barrels. So now that's where this comes in. I have to match the name, so SG muzzle I put that in right here, and now it knows, okay, spawn this blueprint wherever that location is. And then to actually make the projectile go forward, this is where the orientation and movement have to be correct. So I want the projectile to go forward, of course. So I tell it, okay, orient or rotate the projectile forward or wherever the camera is looking. So I need the camera rotation, and then I need the forward vector. In this case, it's usually X. The X axis is forward or backward. And then when I have the information from both of those, then to get the spray angle, there's actually a function literally called that. Took me a while to find that one too, but lovely little forum told me that one. So yeah, there's a spray angle function, and then to actually determine how wide of an angle you want. So in this case, I just have an angle of 3 degrees, so it's not that much of a spread, but just enough. I get the spread angle, and then I feed it into the actual movement information. So it takes that information, the rotation, position, spray angle, and then the projectile itself has its own movement vectors within its own, because the projectile is its own blueprint, because I'm calling that right here. The movement will then take all that information and then go from there. So from right here, I just have to spawn it and then make sure it's oriented properly. And then the actual projectile blueprint will take care of the rest of the movement and stuff. After it is spawned in, it's good to go. It doesn't need anything else after that. Then I have to spawn... Wait, actually, what is this? Pellet sound. I actually don't remember what this specifically is. Shotgun pellet. Maybe there's a separate blueprint that is like just straight up the sound of the impact when the shotgun pellets hit a surface. I can't fully remember what that is though. I'm gonna have to do some digging because I forget what this sound is actually supposed to be for. But oh, never mind. I know what this is for. Okay. I remember. It clicked, finally. So, I was having an issue, since there's 16 different projectiles being fired here, I was having an issue where if the shot impacted a surface that was pretty close to me, it would be really, really loud because there were 16 different sounds that would spawn when these pellets hit, right? So it'd be really loud, and then there's also 16 different sounds spawning in, so it would kind of bug out a little bit too. So to fix that, I actually created a separate blueprint that generates way less impact sounds. So it doesn't do 16 of them, it only does like 4 or something. So it's still a little bit louder than just a single bullet, because it is a shotgun, you know. But it's nowhere near what it was back here. So it's not like a deafening impact sound, and it also doesn't, you know, bug out because there's 16 different sounds being played at the same time. It's only like 4. So that's what this is for right here. And then after that, there's a slight, there's a delay, 0.6, because you're not able to, again, spam it. You know, you have to wait for, you know, to reload the shot. Then once that's done, the ready to fire is good to go. Once again, it resets to on. And then if I'm holding down the left mouse button, it will automatically just reset or it'll loop all the way back here and do that whole sequence once again. But if I'm not holding it, then it won't do anything. It'll just stop. And then after that entire sequence is done, that's sequence 1. Sequence 2 is the shells. So whenever the shotgun, he pumps the shotgun, two shells will eject from either side. Since it is a double barrel, shells will eject from either side. You actually can't see them because the view of the receiver is actually it's out of frame at the bottom, but it does eject 2 shells from each side, and you can actually hear them hit the ground too. Actually, it's easier to hear on concrete. There you go, you heard him hit it, and you can see it just barely right there. Oh, I lost it. Where'd it go? They are tiny. They're not very easy to see. There you go. Right there. So yeah, it does eject shells. And that's all that is right there. So again, it determines where the shells need to be ejected from. So I have more sockets on each side right there. So I get the location of those, and then it just spawns the shell actor where those sockets are. And then again, since these are their own blueprints, they have their own physics movement within their own system, so that doesn't need to be here. That's in their own blueprint. All that has to be done here is just call the blueprint and spawn it in, and it's good. Now if we have the upgraded version of the shotgun, there's 2 other shell types. There's a slug, so it's not a buckshot spread, it's a singular large slug that just deals a bunch of damage, or dragon's breath. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically just fragments of magnesium or whatever in real life. This exists in real life. It's like fragments of magnesium, and when you shoot it, they just ignite when you shoot it. Now, they are definitely exaggerated in video games and movies. They're definitely not practical in real life at all, but they can still be like very, very dangerous. Because anything in like very close proximation, they can ignite stuff on fire. So, but that's basically the premise of it in real life. But in video games, yeah, it's just basically projectiles that light shit on fire and just cause chaos. So, pretty cool. But yeah, so depending on which shell type that you have enabled, if you have the upgraded version of the shotgun, that's what these true-false statements will determine. So if you have type 2, which is the slug, then it comes down here and it does the slug function. Or if you have the dragon's breath shell, it does the dragon's breath function down here. And you're able to swap in between all 3 of these. You can't obviously have all 3 of these at once. It's one out of the 3 at a time. That is the primary fire for the shotgun. Now let's do the secondary fire. So this is the for the shotgun. This is the freezing projectile. Hold on. Make the shell casing eject somewhere to the side of the weapon. Make it appear frame. Player can see it. Have to fall from below. Not make it really. Very true. That is very true. I actually can just do that right now. I can do that right now. They are actually a little bit more forward. They're not actually where the ejector port is. Let's see if the camera view is about right there. I want to say it's about right there. Oh, they didn't move at the same time. Oopsie. It's about right there. Let's test it. I didn't really see it. Okay, let's try a little further up. Maybe like scoot these over too. Maybe like right there. Where's the other socket? Right here. About right there. Okay, let's try that. Maybe it's because they eject when the shotgun is like it's further back, so you still can't see it. Yeah, they eject when the shotgun's all the way back. So, oh well, I'll figure something out for that then. It's fine. How's the shotgun looking game time? Huh? I'm sorry. Okay, but the secondary fire, the freezing projectiles. So, very similar process since this is a single fire weapon for the most part. Again, you can hold it down and it cycles through, but it is a semi-auto function. It's one fire per time. It's not a fully automatic weapon. So yeah, again, we check the freezer ammo, make sure we got ammo. If we don't, it just does a click and we're sad and yeah. But if we do got ammo, same thing, ready to fire, unchecks. And then in this case, I have the check for upgrade right away because if I have the upgraded version of the shotgun, then it'll immediately do a different function for the freezer. So, or at least in terms of like the ammo count. So if I don't have the upgrade, it just subtracts one shot. If I do, for right now I have it set to 2. This could change in the future depending on what kind of function I have for the freezer for the upgrade. So I don't know yet. That's not final, but it'll be different than just 1. And then okay, so this first one is if I have the upgrade. So down here, if I do not have the upgrade, the freezer muzzle flash happens. It does the sound, does the animation for the secondary fire, camera shake again. Same exact thing, it spawns the freezing bullets at the muzzles, or wherever that socket was, at the bottom down here. Spawns them there. I get the rotation of the camera and the forward vector again to make sure it's oriented properly. And then again, within the blueprint of the projectile itself, it will handle the movement and all this stuff after that. We just have to spawn it here and make sure it's rotated properly. And then since there's 2 projectiles, I just have 2 of the same operations in the same string, since there's 1 from each barrel, so I just have 2 of those. And then the delay time on this I have is 1.6 seconds, so much longer duration. I will demonstrate. So it basically just waits for the animation to finish, and then you can continue again. Oh, let me reset the playlist. Okay. And then once that's done, yep, ready to fire, re-enables. And if you're still holding the secondary button to fire, it loops back and does the function again. And if you're not holding it, then it does nothing. That's if we have the regular version. If we have the upgraded version, same process at the start. Muzzle flash, sound, animation, camera shake. The only difference that I have set up right now is the function of the freezer, or the type of freezer. So in this case, I just have it shoot more freezing projectiles than 2. I have like it's like a shotgun spread of freezing projectiles. How many do I have? Okay, for here it just says 2, but I imagine it was way more than that. It was probably like 6, maybe even more, maybe like 8. But yeah, same exact process for the shotgun spread up here and the shotgun pellet amount. Same thing. It loops that for how many times this variable is, and that's how many different projectiles it spawns. I have the shotgun spread again right here. Same process for orienting the projectile. And then same delay. And then ready to fire once it's over. And if you're holding it, it loops. So again, this upgrade function might change in the future. It might not be a shotgun spread. It could be like a big ice explosion or something from like a big ice ball. I don't know. We haven't really determined that just yet, but it will be like a different function than just your regular 2 ice bullets or freezing bullets. And that is the secondary fire. All right, now these down here. So we have just a basic ammo check function right here. So, okay, so this one is the actual clamps that I have. So if it's at 100 for the maximum, it won't let it go over 100. And then again, this is where that interface system is showing up too, because again, this is communicating with multiple different things. It's communicating with my character, the weapon blueprint itself, the ammo blueprint, the ammo pickup blueprint, and the UI that's showing the number of ammo as well. So there's multiple things it's communicating with. And so that's what's happening here. And again, this is where the class of the ammo shows up as well to match up with the ammo pickup, so it all matches. How much am I adding? Well, I think that's just telling it to add it again. The amount that it needs to add is in the ammo blueprint. This is just telling it, okay, yes, go ahead and add it. We're good. Unless it is at 100, in which case, don't add any more than 100. Even if you're at like, say 90, 95. If you find another shotgun ammo that normally gives you 10 ammo, it's going to max it out at 100. It won't go higher than this. So that's what the clamp is for. And then it sets the ammo at the end. Change shell type. Okay, so this is the function I have in here, the custom, or event. This is the custom event that I have set up in here to switch between these different shell types if you have the upgraded version of the shotgun. So if you have the upgrade, this is actually kind of a cool system. It's like a loop that I've created. So if these right here, the shotgun ammo type, so this is just an integer variable that is shown here. So 1, 2, 3, buckshot, slugs, dragon's breath. That's what that variable is. So down here, if that integer goes above 2, then what it'll do is it'll set it back to the opposite end of the loop. So that way you can just cycle through all of them and it doesn't like get stuck and it doesn't know what to do, right? Same thing if it's the opposite end. If you're going, or actually I think I don't actually have it set to go the opposite way. It's just if you hit the button, it goes to the next one. Hit the button again, it goes to the next one. And then once it's past here, if you hit the button, then it just goes back to this one. Nice little loop function right there. Let's see. And then we have a sound and an animation for when that happens. Close to the others. Let me just demonstrate it real quick. I have the blueprint, the pickup blueprint for it. So hold on, let me find. Shotgun blueprints. Pickup. Okay, so this is the regular one. This is the upgrade. So let's put the upgrade here. Here we go. Put it there right now. All right. So when I pick this up too, it also has a slight visual change as well. It adds some components on the center, as you can see right there. So now there's some extra like tubes that connect the center there. But yeah, so to change the shell type, I just push the button. So right now it's on buckshot. Now it's on slugs. Now it's on dragon's breath. And then if I just want to go back to buckshot, just hit the button again, and it cycles through all three of them. Like so. Say that we have buckshot, your regular, bunch of pellets, slugs. There's only 2 of them, but they're really big and they do a lot of damage. And you can be way more accurate with it from far away. Slightly different sound as well. Dragon's breath. Prepare your eyes. This is going to be some cool shit right here. Oh, let it compile shaders first. Hold on. Okay, let's try that again. Whoosh! That one will require more shots. Takes 2. And then yeah, it does exactly what I said earlier. It just lights everything on fire. And then for the freezer, yeah, exactly. It shoots. It might only do 2 because I had it set to 2. Oh no, it did. It looped it more. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there's 10. It looks like there's 10 of them. But yeah, so there's just right now I just have it set to more freezing projectiles. So it covers a lot more ground. Crazy. But yeah, so there you go. And then this right here, down here, just determines what happens when you pick up the weapon upgrade. So when you pick up that blueprint, that is the weapon upgrade, it toggles the upgrade on. Again, this is being communicated through multiple different blueprints as well, through interface. The mesh ID is what tells it to change the mesh to 2 different ones. So again, if I go here, that's the regular one. The upgraded version looks like that. It has some slight modifications on the center. It's a different mesh. So what that is doing is it's telling it to change the mesh. And then the freezer amount, it changes this variable. Oh, so here we go. It adds more to the actual freezer projectile amount right here. So that's what it does. It tells it to add more to it. Weapon mesh. Oh, this is combined with the mesh ID. These are both the same sort of thing. This is the array list of the 2 different meshes of the shotgun, and then this ID tells it which one to switch it to. And then set skin, asset, and update, that just basically applies all of this right here. It gets it, again, the variable gets it from all of these, and then it applies it right here. Then yeah, we set the projectile amount, Set upgrade to true. So again, it toggles that on. And there you have it. That is the shotgun code as of right now. It would be nice to implement a quick menu for selecting ammunition between these types. Time consuming. Yeah. This is true. Since the Dragon's Breath is also, like, kind of really strong compared to the other two, I don't know. I was thinking about, like, having it as an alternative to freezing. So you can either do freezing or fire. But then that's now two different. You're having two different ammunition types for both firing functions, and that can still be kind of confusing. So, yeah, I might implement some kind of just quick little menu thing that you can go through and just select it instead. But we'll see. We'll see. It is also indicated, like when you're switching on the HUD. If you look at the bottom corner here, I'll full screen it. You can kind of see that there's a little tiny indicator in front of the shells. Plus, the shell color also changes. But yeah, right now you can see it's buckshot. And if I change it, now they're green, and there's a single slug icon in front of it. And then Dragon's Breath is red, and there's a flame symbol in front of it. So that does change too when you're going through it. But yeah, I definitely still understand if it gets confusing when you have more than two different ammo types. Fire and Ice, but Dragon Breath, these are not going to bug out. Well, I just mean like, well, okay, I can kind of see what you're saying. Like if you freeze an enemy and then you switch to like Dragon's Breath and then light them up. I mean, it would probably just have the same effect as you freeze them, and then if you shoot them with that, they just instantaneously combust. Like they just fall apart as if you shot them normally. Or if you shoot them. Let's say you do the opposite. Let's say if you shoot them with Dragon's Breath first and they don't die immediately, but they're burning. And then you shoot them with a freezer. I think if they're still burning and they start to freeze, then the fire would just do enough damage to them to where they fall apart too. So, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Dragon's Breath might be too powerful. But I don't really want to get rid of it because it is cool. We'll see. I don't know. Once I get the monsters in and we start trying to figure out a bunch of the balancing and all that, that's when we can start trying to figure out balancing and tweaks for that. But for right now, it's simply just a concept. Okay. Yeah, that is the blueprint for the weapon. Or the shotgun, anyway. Every weapon has a little bit of a different setup. Or you can implement an additional key for some mode. This way, you'll have pellets and bullets, and then the second mode will determine whether fire breathing mode. Yeah. You can limit the ladder. Yeah. Actually, if I remember right, that's kind of like what you have on the rifle, right? Like you have a mode or a key action where it goes from silenced to unsilenced, and then there's another action with that same key. If you like double tap it, it changes the fire rate, so it's like a faster fire rate or a slower fire rate. I'd probably do something like that too. Yeah. Why don't you put Dragon Breath on SMG flamethrower? I mean, I based the Dragon's Breath purely on the real life thing, and I mean there is a such thing as incendiary bullets too, but they don't work. They don't work quite like Dragon's Breath shotgun shells do, because again, in real life, shotgun shells, they have like fragments of flammable metal, like magnesium, that ignites immediately once it's fired. Whereas an incendiary bullet, it's still like a bullet. It's just on the tip or something, or in the core. It has like some kind of pyro material that ignites or flashes when the bullet hits something. So it kind of just scorches whatever it hits a little bit more. It doesn't fully ignite it, but I don't know. I could actually probably do something like that for the rifle. Yeah, I could do like incendiary bullets, and it can light them. It can light the enemies on fire for like a second or something. It just does a little bit of extra damage. That might be cool. That might be cool. Or you can make the upgrades replaceable. You could use bullets, or you could use Dragon's Breath, but pick one or the other, so the balance comes into question. Yeah. Yeah, very true. Like I said, yeah, well, since the Dragon's Breath is kind of wild for the shotgun, all that balancing, well, we can figure that out later once we finally start bringing in the monsters, which won't be for a while, because we still have a lot to go on the environments, but once we get to the enemies, then yeah. We'll figure out balancing. Cool beans. Alright, well, I could go a little bit further into blueprints, just a teeny bit. I probably won't explain it, but I do want to just show you guys. So that, the thumbnail to this stream with all those colorful boxes and all that code, that was actually real. That was just a glimpse of the first-person character blueprint, the heart, the core of it all. The Daniel character himself. Holy, that's a lot of code. Yeah, flashbang. But it's all organized and nice and pretty, so I at least can figure out, oh yeah, this is for this is for that. It's all good. But yeah, I don't have to explain all this right now, because it is a lot. But that's what the character blueprint looks like for right now. I guess like the different color coordination that I have going on is this teal or like turquoise color is usually for weapons and ammo. The orange is for movement. The green is for health. The purple is kind of like a miscellaneous thing. It's for like UI purposes, I guess. The pink is also a special case for zooming in or like FOV kind of situations. What is this? Oh, yellow is time-related stuff. So like whenever if you have a tarot card that slows down time or whatever the case is, right? That'll be there. This beige kind of color is, I guess, the flashlight. Yep, flashlight stuff. Save game, like save files and all that stuff will be in this blue. So yeah, that's kind of the color coordination I have going on right now. To see the bolt gun if you ever get there. Well, this is what it looks like right now. Or yeah, I guess you're talking about the blueprint, huh? Hold on. Hold on. Bolt gun. Again, it looks pretty daunting, but it's just because it's repeating the same thing over and over and over. Because for the bolts, there's 5 bolts that it fires on one click. So, yeah, it repeats this process 5 times. Actually, it does it 3 times, but it spawns 5 of the bolts. And then for the little bombs on the side, it shoots 10 of them at a time. So it does this process 10 times. All the way down. Until it repeats itself. Yep. So ultimately, it's the same process as like the shotgun. You know, you click, it does one. It's a single fire thing, but it just has to repeat the process multiple times because it spawns multiple of said projectiles. So it does that 3 times, spawns 5 bolts, or 10 bombs. Oh, I almost just blasted myself. But yeah. And they function the same as they do in the original. They bounce twice, and then on the 3rd bounce, they explode. And the scope. Same as the original. You can zoom in. I like this gun a lot. I liked it a lot in the original. It was a lot of fun to use. Fire. You can see the shells ejecting on this gun out of the side. Out of bullets. This is Capcom. If you're still here, this is your gun right here. Capcom made this weapon model. For those of you who do not know, so thank you very much. I very much appreciate you sharing this with me. Here, let me full screen it. Looks very clean. I like it. I did add a little bit of tiny details to it, but overall, the main weapon was from him. He made this. Lots of electricity. This is actually not the model that I made. This is the one from Hell and Damnation. You'll have the option to use both. I'm working on improving the one that I made because I didn't really like how it turned out that much. I want to make it better. So for right now, I'm just using this as a replacement. Very fun. Stakes. Oh, yes. You can stake your own grenades. So much fun. I love doing that. You guys don't understand how happy I was when I figured out how to get the code to work for that. I was so happy. And then the painkiller itself. The laser will follow where the projectile goes. It'll come back just nice. I haven't put in the feature where you can spin it and then shoot it. I don't have that one set up yet. I still have to do that, but it'll happen, I promise. But yeah, right now all you can do is this or this. I can shoot this in the water. Oh, shaders. There we go. Big water explosion. But yeah. Okay. All right. I think I'm good on blueprints for right now. We did cover a lot. We did pickups. We did weapons a little bit briefly. Kind of talked about just the basics of variables, basic nodes as well. There's a lot of nodes. I've covered maybe like not even 1% of the nodes in here, but just the most common ones that you'll typically see. Yeah, we got those ones. And we even took a quick little peek at the main character blueprint. So yeah, I think that'll be... Oh, we also looked a little bit at the UI too, so... I think that will be okay for blueprints on this one. I can definitely do more blueprint coverage in the future if you guys want. I am absolutely down for that. But I think I'll call it good for the blueprint section on this one. Okay. Since there's only about 10 minutes left until 2, I think I'll just actually call it for this part right now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this first part of the stream off right here. Because I got to go take care of something real quick. Probably be about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. 2 at the most. But once that's done, we'll come back, start the stream up again, and we can keep working on Monastery. After that, probably have a few more hours in me once I come back. So that'll be the plan. Thank you guys for tuning in on this first part and learning. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about blueprints. Hopefully I wasn't rambling too much and I made somewhat of sense when explaining some things. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope to see you guys on the next part later today. And I'll catch you then. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Hope to see y'all later.